smiling faces. I am also, I am pleased to announce that today is national. Does anybody know the national days for today? Okay, there's a really important one. It's called Eat What You Want Day. Does that sound fab or what? So there's some other days, but the one I'm personally going to celebrate is the Eat What You Want Day. However, it is actually also Third Shift Workers Day. So if you know anyone who works that third shift, give them some love. And by the way, in case well, yeah, guys, can we give it up? All right, very glad to have you here. We won't make you come up on stage, and fill the spot normally. But we're really, really make sure that all right, and for our new person in the audience, 1MC, we're here every week with an entrepreneur or community builder, and they get to tell their story, and they share for about 10 minutes, and then after that, we have the chance to interact with them. And so, But I finally saw this and I said, this has Bill Dean's name all over it. So, Bill, would you come, please? I have a special, very limited edition mug just for you. There you go. Now you've got a trifecta, right? Now he's got the tall orange, he's got the ceramic, and now he's got that. So you've got the hat trick of 1MC mugs. Woohoo! All right. Oh, now, hello, sir. I saw you come in.
So as I mentioned about 10 seconds ago, my name's Joe Camisa. I'm one of the TrainND managers at Bismarck State College. I want to thank the guys up in the tech booth for getting the videos to work. It was a little touch and go with some of the embedded video in the slides. So thank you to the crew up in the booth. And thank you for all coming out and attending and having an opportunity to talk a little bit about workforce development and what the workforce of North Dakota is looking like. So as I talk about TrainND, before I dive truly what is TrainND, what we do, what we can provide for the North Dakota workforce, I just want to talk a little bit about what training do we need for our workforce? What are we seeing? What are we seeing going forward into the future? What are we seeing over the next 10 years? Not just globally, but here in North Dakota. Everybody here is either an entrepreneur or connected to a larger business. You're all feeling different pain points. You're all having different problems. And understanding what some of these changes are going to look like going forward is going to have an opportunity to work with us potentially to provide that workforce training. So the information you see here comes from the Global Leadership Forecast that was produced in 2021 by DDI International. DDI International is a large global workforce consultant. They are able to work with large Fortune 500 companies across the world, but they also do a lot of training and education. They produce materials. They're one of our training partners for TrainND at Bismarck State College. And so this report, when you look at what is going into it, what data, what survey information is being received, they had surveyed over 17,000 worldwide CEOs, corporate leaders, and chief HR officers. And of these 17,000 people, CEOs have noted one of the biggest problems they're having is not only retaining talent, so it's not just a Bismarck problem, it's a global problem. They have the inability not just to retain talent, but to know where some of this future talent's coming from. You know, a lot of CEOs today don't know where the next CEO might come from. There just aren't enough CEOs. So how are we going to produce the next generation of CEOs? We need to train them and give them that experience. 84% of chief human resource officers said that the biggest workforce change that they're going to see in the next 10 years is training. We're going to need to upscale our current employees. We're going to need to mold them into either expanding their work skill set or develop new skill sets so that we can have more bodies to the positions that we need as employers to grow. And then, as we all can tell just here in North Dakota, the workforce is getting younger. And as the workforce gets younger, that brings a new set of challenges. It brings the set of challenges for management to change their perspective, change how they think, change how they work with these new staffs. And then as the workforce gets younger, there's new challenges as well when you have a multi-generational workforce. So things to keep in mind as we start looking out over the next 10 years. And these are global comments, not just here in North Dakota. So what are we looking at here in North Dakota? So in North Dakota, the most recent survey that was done was in 2018. And there was a workforce survey that was produced by, in part, the Greater North Dakota Chamber and the Department of Commerce Workforce Development Council. And they identified a number of large problems, but the big ones, you know, we see a pre-pandemic workforce attraction and retention issue. You know, we see that, you know, the pandemic, and as we come out of the pandemic, that really exacerbated just how bad it was to retain in the competition, and you know, having to pay more to retain or even attract or poach from other companies or recruit from other companies. So that's been a major obstacle. Respondents also indicated that there are two major hiring obstacles. 29% of respondents indicated there just aren't enough qualified candidates in the state of North Dakota. 21% also said that competition from other employers in the state has been an issue with retaining and holding on to staff. Well, I'm not a math major, but I think 29 and 21 comes to 50. Is that right, John? I know you're an in-house math person. It's 50%. So 50% of the respondents in the state of North Dakota have identified these two problems in 2018. You're all employers or have your own businesses. Would you say that's still pretty accurate today? Yeah, it hasn't changed. which is why I still feel comfortable citing a 2018 study, because if this is the problem that we had as a workforce going into the pandemic has only just made it worse. And now, given the current economic changes, who knows what those new challenges are going to be going forward. So, TrainND, this is where we can come in and help. So what are we? We are a workforce training program. We were started by the state of North Dakota. Our roots really start from a 31-member statewide task force that was formed in 1998. And this task force was sponsored in part by the Greater North Dakota Chamber. And what this task force was charged with doing was examining what are other states doing? What are these best practices that we're seeing, not just in our region, but from coast to coast? And so they came and they brought all these ideas together and they formulated a system that would eventually be placed into a piece of legislation in 1999. House Bill 1443 would charge the state of North Dakota's Board of Higher Education with being in charge of workforce development. And that was pretty open. It wasn't a very well-described description in the House bill. And so what the State Board of Higher Education decided to do was to form the TrainND program based on the recommendations of the task force. And we are here to provide that training component for the state of North Dakota. And I'll get into a little bit more detail about that in just a moment. In 2014, I want to highlight that we were created in '99, so we've been around for over 20 years. We do periodically try to reevaluate our program as we go forward. It's been done 3 times, with 2014 being the last time we've looked in how can we revamp our program to stay fresh and to stay current. We operate in 4 regions. So each of the community colleges that are in these regions are tasked with administering the TrainND program. As you can see, the Bismarck State College logo is in the Southwest region. We are the providers of TrainND for the Southwest region. You can see we have a pretty large geographic footprint. With this geographic footprint, you can probably just imagine also how diverse our workforce is in this region. You know, we have the seat of state government here in Bismarck. We have manufacturing and energy. We have BNI coal. We have power plants. We also have what in the Southwest? Ranching, agriculture. And so we have a huge range of occupations and workforce demands that we try to provide training for. In the other regions, we have Williston State College. They provide the Northwest, as you can imagine, what their cup of tea is for training, oil patch. So they do a great, outstanding job with trying to provide non-credit training opportunity to the workforce up there. And then Lake Region State College handles the Grand Forks Northeast region. And then the North Dakota Science College also handles the Southeast. So when we look at the Southwest region in particular, the TrainND program, often people often see that our department must just be TrainND. And we're actually just one component of our continuing education department. And at BSC, the continuing education department is the non-credit arm of the college. So you don't have to enroll in any college credits to take a TrainND program class, whether it's workforce training in welding, CDL, soft skill development, professional skill development. You don't have to formally enroll in the college, which is a nice part of this program. But we also work with other programs. So there are other program managers that I work with. We have the OLLI program. If you're not familiar with OLLI, that is the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. It's geared to the 50-plus community. It's membership driven, that there's humanities-based courses and other enrichment opportunities for people to get out of the house who might be in their retirement years to get out and learn. We also do OSHA consulting. So we have a division of our department that works with smaller construction trade companies, other manufacturers, energy companies if they qualify, if they're small enough for federal aid. And we come out and we will do their safety inspections for them and help them get compliant. We also do conference management. How many of you are aware of the EPIC Energy Conference? Anybody heard of that? So it's held yearly. It used to be the NGC conference, I believe, is what they used to call it a couple of years back, and they changed the name to EPIC. It's held up at the Bismarck Event Center, and we have literally not just North Dakota, but the entire region. Energy companies come in, vendors that support that industry come in for training, networking opportunities. We usually have well over 1,000 to 2,000 people that attend that conference yearly. And then the open enrollment program, we have a catalog. Oftentimes, if you're a regular attendee of one MC, you hear me come up and give an announcement about a yoga class or a cooking class or genealogy class. These are the programs that are through our catalog. And I do have a number of catalogs out in the lobby on the table, so if you're interested in learning a little bit about what we have for our open enrollment, grab a catalog. That's a great place to start looking for that. So TrainND, we have 4 pillars of our TrainND program. We have what we call corporate training, industry training. We have our Speakers Bureau, as well as the Career Pathways program. So when we look at corporate training, that's primarily where I focus. That's my focus as one of the TrainND managers, is working with soft skills and professional development. So if your company is looking for management and assistance with developing managers, supervisor training, computer training, if you need somebody to come in and teach you Excel, Word, Outlook, those type of programs, those requests generally come to me. And we're able to provide, these are just a small sampling of the programs that we can offer in training opportunities. I get sometimes some of the most off-the-wall requests for training. Most recently, I was asked about Active Directory Microsoft training. So Active Directory is a language that connects servers with websites and controls access to those servers. And I was asked if we had the capability of providing that training. Yes, we do. Because the TrainND program, whether it's industry training that I'll get to in just a minute or the corporate training, we have the ability to tap into a statewide network as well as our faculty on campus, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So our industry training. My partner, Brian Ellersick, you might have seen his name pop up on the video at the very end. Brian is our industry TrainND manager, and he has the opportunity to focus on CDL training. You know that we were going through a driver shortage. So we're trying to expand our program. We have 1 truck currently. We are working on getting a 2nd truck. We also provide in our 3-week program simulator training. So they sit through a classroom, they learn their book knowledge, they get into the simulators, they practice their double clutching, then they get into that truck. World's moving to automatics, so there might be a time where they may not need to learn how to double clutch anymore. And so we are one of the largest providers in the region for this. We are working with the North Dakota League of Cities to help cities, municipalities, counties, you name it, with their workforce development for CDL. Welding is another very popular program that we offer. We have a welding lab over in Mandan. So any Mandan people here? Okay, good. I'd like to see a couple of hands. So if you've driven past Culver's heading onto the highway, you might have seen on the right side as you're heading out of town a building that says Bismarck State College. That is where our Advanced Mechanical Training Center is. And that is where we have a number of labs, including our welding lab. And in our welding lab, we have a room full of booths, and we can handle, I think it's about 16 or so students, and they each have an individual welding booth, machines. We have all of the acetylene gases that are necessary, the oxygen that are pumped into the building, and we can teach them how to do different types of welding. And then manufacturing. Brian works very closely with a lot of the trade organizations, trade unions, to provide training to sheet metal manufacturing. So we work with that as well. And we are always looking to expand programs. We know that there's a heavy equipment shortage for operators. We need people who can drive a bulldozer, a backhoe. We're even possibly looking at maybe having some kind of simulator training for cranes. So we're always looking for new programs, but unfortunately that costs a lot of dollars to get those simulators. So looking at the Career Pathway program, we are one of the largest trainers in the region for Sanford when it comes to CNAs. We provide training for CNAs, CMA2, that's the 2nd level of the medication assistant. We have a program, a contract with Palo Alto Networks to provide network security training and a certificate program for that. So if you know anybody who is interested in the cybersecurity realm that may want to, maybe they already have a college degree, don't want to go back and do a formal college degree in cybersecurity, but want to do something non-credit, our Palo Alto certification is a great way to do that. And we also have a phlebotomy technician program. And so we are helping to try to train the shortage of phlebotomy people that are the vampires of the hospital or the clinics that are going to come and steal your blood. That they take your blood and then you never see it again. So you think they're going to the lab with it. And then finally, the Speakers Bureau. The Speakers Bureau is an opportunity for us to provide short programs for conferences, lunch and learns. You know, we are able to provide 45-minute to 1-hour talks. If you want to go longer for a breakout session at a conference, we have that capability as well. Our Speakers Bureau has two elements. We can provide more business-oriented conversations and discussions. We have one person that does a talk, it's called Real Love in the Workplace. So pretty much a talk about how to be nice to coworkers and how to really create that warm environment. You spend probably more time with your coworkers than you do at home. So you probably want to have a pretty decent culture. She talks about how can you do that. The other part of the Speakers Bureau is more of an inspirational side of it. So if you want to hear some lighthearted talks or talks on stress management, those type of talks, we have the ability to provide speakers. We have a large number of speakers that we can choose from. And if you're familiar with the RAMA team, we just started working with them and getting their programs and some of their talks added to our Speakers Bureau. So if you're interested in doing a short lunch and learn, you got some conferences coming up, not only can we manage your conference for you if you really want somebody to handle those logistics, but we also have people that can come speak at your conference. If you don't know where you want to start looking for topics, give us a call. That's what Brian and we do. A lot of times we put our heads together. We try to say, okay, the conference is based on X, Y, and Z. I think we have this topic, and this topic that would be good for your conference. So give us a call. We can definitely help with that. So when we look at the TrainND program, we are all about being customized. We provide customized training. We can provide multiple delivery formats. So if it's you want something online, we have online self-paced classes that you can tap into. You're looking for hybrid, being that we are housed at Bismarck State College, we have the capability in our classrooms to have a hybrid. We can have people here in Bismarck, and then we can have, through our learning platform, people can remote in from anywhere you have an office. So we do have that capability of being flexible. Now, if you are looking at your organization and you say, something just doesn't feel right, I think we can be more efficient, but I just don't know where to start, give us a call. We can come in and do that needs assessment, and that's where we really try to help smaller businesses shine. Myself, Brian, if it's industry, we can come into your business, we can talk to staff, we can observe operations, we can do a little bit of consulting to see what can we find that maybe you could be a little more efficient at, and then we can build a customized training program around that. And we really do have that flexibility for location, not just in the delivery format, but we can come to your place of employment. There might be times where you have a staff of 5 and somebody has to be at that front desk. Well, we can come to your office to provide that training. You can come to Bismarck State Campus. The building you see here in the really tiny picture, that is the Energy Center of Excellence, and that is where our office and classrooms are located. Pretty nice building. And we don't charge for the rooms that are provided during those trainings, so we throw those in with the cost. And we have the capability of doing certificates, certifications, and other credentials, CEUs. So if we provide a training that you're needing certification credits for some license you have, we have the capability of providing those CEUs. We would just look at our curriculum and say, okay, this is going to match what we need for your CEUs. Here's the number of CEUs based on contact hours. We've also had organizations that have their own curriculum but don't have the ability to provide a credentialed CEU certificate. We have the ability to provide those credentials on behalf of another organization as long as we can be provided with their syllabus and their course information, because we do want to make sure that it's a worthwhile and up-to-standard class that we're providing those CEUs for. So I mentioned partnerships. One of the big things about TrainND is we have 4 regions. We all operate independently, but those regions do work together. We're kind of a loose confederation. We have the ability in different niches in different regions, but if I have a client here in Bismarck that calls me up, or Dickinson that calls me up and say, I'm really, really looking for some kind of heavy equipment training. I might get on the phone with Williston State and say, I don't have this. Do you have the ability to either have somebody come down, or can I send people up to Williston State for this training? 9 times out of 10, if they've got it, they can do it. And so we have the ability to reach out to the other regions. We have the ability to reach out to business and industry. We have a very strong relationship at Bismarck State College with the local industry. We have, as part of the Polytechnic program, what we call built teams. They're the business industry leadership teams. There are built teams that are built all around different segments of industry. And so these are big players in that industry that are providing us constant feedback, not just through the Polytechnic program, but as the Polytechnic program grows, we have the ability to tap into that on the non-credit side. So we are very excited about the Polytechnic program because that's going to bring new resources, new programs to BSC that now we can provide workforce training for non-credit to the community. And then lastly, career and technical education. So are you familiar with the Career and Technical Education Center here in Bismarck, through Bismarck Public Schools? Well, we have the ability to work with them. So there might be something that they're providing directly to high school students that we can tap into as well. And as the Career and Technical Education Centers are growing statewide, we're going to have even more resources to tap into. A lot of times, all I got to do is pick up the phone and make that call, and we have some partner college, a state agency, local business, faculty on campus, other faculty across the state, or even out of state if we need to really provide those training opportunities to you. So I talk about training partnerships. We have one with the Chamber. Chamber works with all kinds of training entities, but we have provided Chamber members a 10% discount on our professional development opportunities. So if you go and grab a catalog out of the back, you open it up, there's a professional development section. Take a look for the Chamber logo or the YP Network logo. And any of the courses that have those logos, we provide a 10% discount. So when you register online through our what we call Lumen system, it's through bismarckstate.edu/continuing education, you can go in and register. You will need to contact your organization that you're a member of. If you're a YP member, contact the executive board. If you are a Chamber member, contact, maybe I can pick on Ross. Are you the keeper of the code, Ross?
No, but I can keep you there.
So he knows. Ross is in the know. Anytime I got a question, I go to Ross. So get a code. You put that into the little promo box as you check out for your registration, and it'll apply that discount. So we are really trying to make training as much as we can affordable, whether it be in-person, self-paced, online, hybrid. We want to be affordable for everybody. So ultimately, how can we help an organization and help the workforce grow? So when we look at the 2018 North Dakota Workforce Survey, there were 5 large barriers to training that were identified. They had the inability to sometimes enroll employees into a higher learning institution's entrance requirements, where you need to have a certain GPA, or you need to have a certain degree program, or you need to have prerequisites satisfied. That was a barrier. Having access to certain types of customized content or instructors was a problem. Not having a budget to work with, or having very little dollars, so cost was an issue. The length of the program. If you are forced to enroll your staff into a credit semester-long program, or even an 8-week, half a semester class, that's a huge time commitment. And so these are all different barriers that our businesses in North Dakota have identified as a barrier to training. And TrainND can really help with some of these. And so we customize. We take out that 8-week. If you want 8 weeks, we can do 8 weeks. You want to do a year long, we can do a year long. We can do, if you have very little time, we can do a 3-hour class. We can do an hour class. Whatever you want to do as an employer or as an entrepreneur, or even if you're self-employed, you want a training, we can do whatever works for you and your budget. And we have the ability to even go beyond a year. There are times where we can be, and we have been, large training providers for an entire organization. We can provide, we can work with the HR director and take out all of the planning and the logistics of providing training. They just say, okay, staff, go to this location at this time. You're going to go through X, Y, and Z training. We do all the logistics on our end, and we make sure that that instructor, the classroom, and all the materials are ready to go. So we take that away, that logistical headache away from you. And we have the ability to be creative. I know I've talked with some in the room. I've been trying to reach out and build partnerships directly with trade organizations or membership organizations, because that's the best way that I can try to make this training affordable to small business. That's my goal. 75% of the North Dakota economy are small businesses. So I want to try to do my best to make sure that it's affordable. And if you only have one employee to send because you're a 3-person operation, direct training and me coming in and bringing in an instructor is not going to be cost effective for your business. But if I could work with a trade organization or some other organization where I can bring in members, whether it's 1 member from 20 companies or 5 from 4 companies, it's going to be cheaper per person to help with training than it is for 1 individual person to be trained. And so my goal is to try to reach out to those demographics not served like small businesses. So in the past, we have worked with state entities. We've done training for the National Guard, MDU, big companies, large energy companies like Hess, BNI, which I'll talk about in just a moment, the Association of Counties. That's a great example of an organization that I want to try to work with more to provide training to counties. Counties have a limited number of training dollars. Let's try to make that efficient and maximize that training. So over the last fiscal year, we don't run on calendar years. We're the state of North Dakota, so we like to do things differently. And so we work on fiscal years, and we're coming actually up to the end of our fiscal year. And so the last set of numbers we tabulated was for fiscal year 2020, and we've provided more than 56,000 hours of contact training hours. And that's over 2,800 individuals. This is just our region. This is not the program statewide. So just our region in the Southwest. And we've reached 341 different companies. So we're making an impact in our region with our workforce, but there's more we can do. We're looking to try to develop new curriculum, trying to be receptive to the changes in the economy. But I can't do that, my partner can't do that, and we can't do that as an entire program without you. And so I guess we'll talk about that with the last question. But there are things that we want to try to do that's new. We need help in identifying what those new trainings are. So as I talk here, I just want to show a video. And you can mute the sound if you can up in the tech booth and the volume. Otherwise, you'll just hear me mumbling in the background, which is not very entertaining because you already have to listen to me. So we like to go out and visit different employers. And one of the employers we had an opportunity was BNI. So Brian and I, here we are in the picture here. We are with a dragline piece of equipment. If you've ever seen these in your coal mines, they are massive, massive structures. And they pick them up and they move them. And so we are in the cockpit learning about what do they do. What does BNI do? And so we had the opportunity to tour not only their mines, their internal facilities, their corporate office, and I had an opportunity to talk to the gentleman here, what he does and how we can help him. And so just to get an idea just how massive this machine is, that's the dragline bucket. So you see the video, he's dragging dirt and dropping it in another location. So he's moving dirt from one side of this road that they're making to the other, because now what they're trying to do is open up a coal vein. So we get to go out. It's probably the best part of the job, is not only talking with folks like you, but getting to go out and see pretty neat pieces of heavy equipment. So we want to learn about you guys. We want to learn about the guys and the gals that are out there really supporting our economy. So I do appreciate the opportunity to talk. I can probably go on for another 3 hours, but I do want to leave some time for questions because I'm really entertained by what Johnny is going to ask me.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks for giving it up here. I appreciate it.
I was hoping for the bed. I could just
I know,
out.
I missed that. The psych couch. We've had some fun furniture. Well, okay. So first of all, because I do have to say a few things because I know you're looking forward to it. I do want to say, show of hands, how many of you had heard of the existence of TrainND before today? Okay, that's not too bad. What do you think?
That is actually more hands than I was expecting.
I know, me too. So, and okay, next question, audience participation. How many of you have attended some of the open enrollment classes, that come in that catalog? Okay,
great.
Cool, right? Yeah, okay, I've done 3, let's see, oil painting, landscapes, and a drawing class, right? Aren't they they're the best. All right, and last thing, well, I'm sure there's a question in here somewhere, but no, so I have to say, so you've got this wonderful mix of pre-existing classes, which are in the catalog, But then, so if you all are keeping clear, you know, so there's stuff that's already set, that's in the catalog, but then you also have this whole opportunity to customize existing courses, but you will also develop something from scratch as well, right? Would you talk about kind of that from off the shelf, customized, and brand new, right?
Yep. So TrainND, we're a little different than the catalog. So the catalog, the manager has people that she can tap into that have pre-developed materials, whether they provided it just for BSc, whether they're in the business of providing content. So she has the ability to tap into some of that. And on the TrainND side, we have developed curriculum. So I mentioned DDI earlier with that future forecast work survey. We have the ability to tap into curriculum already developed from them. We have Franklin Covey, and we have another called HRDQ, which is a program that we have the license to alter as we need to provide that customized training. But we also have the ability to not just take materials and then mold it to whatever business we're talking to or industry we're talking to, but we have the ability to also develop something straight off the shelf. There are two examples that come to mind. The first one I mentioned was the Active Directory training earlier. So that one is not one we had on the shelf. That was literally out of the blue. At first, I was thinking, like, I know Active Directory, but I'm not an expert in it, so I had to do a little research. And then I started calling around to our cybersecurity department on campus and say, oh, yep, we've got a class that we do. And so I'm working with the instructor, the faculty member, to take that semester class and shrink it down into about 3 days. And we're going to do that as an open enrollment class through the Telecom Training and Safety Organization. The other opportunity we're working on is a public finance budgeting class. And that is something that I was looking at, meeting with different organizations, League of Cities, also being a sitting city commissioner, things that I've seen that are lacking, I think, in the training realm. And so I called Janya to help me out with some of that instructional design and said, you know, can we work on something that we can provide? So we're, you know, if we see a need, or if I have somebody that I meet to do a needs assessment or an analysis, they would say, you know, we don't really see training on this. And I said, okay, let's put something together. As long as that there is money to cover the development of brand new material, we can develop anything your heart desires.
And we have a question.
When you said the weirdest training you could ask for, and then you said something normal, like technical training, I thought you were going to be like bikini wax training at the salon or something, but whatever. It seemed pretty
Active
normal.
Directory is not usually normal for most people.
I actually did not know that you guys did conferences and that you plan conferences. And having planned 1 million conferences, it is a boatload of work. Can you just talk about maybe some of the more recent things that you've done with conferences? And I know a lot of people here are on boards that also, you know, do conferences. So to me, that's really cool. I've not seen that before.
There are a handful of conferences that we plan yearly. I mentioned the Dakota Bison Symposium. That's one our former president, Larry, don't know why his name slipped my mind. I've talked to him. So I apologize, Larry, if you're watching. You know, he's been involved with that when he was president of BSc. And Dr. Jensen wanted to continue that tradition. So finally, after 2 years, we're getting that off the ground. So that's one that generally we offer, you know, semi-regularly. The EPIC Energy Conference we do yearly. With COVID, it's kind of been on a hybrid format, and last year we finally got back into the face-to-face. And so when planning that conference, Allison Czar is our conference czar. She is really great at it. She's been doing it for a long time. She knows the ins and outs. So the EPIC conference has a steering committee, very large steering committee with a lot of energy stakeholders. And so they plan, they've set a roadmap, they give out, you know, she delegates the task, and then she will work on what resources do I need, what do I need printed, what speakers do we need to tap into. You know, if there's sometimes we even tap into our own speakers bureau that I talked about, or we're looking for people throughout the entire region. It's not unusual for somebody from Wyoming to come out and talk, or another state. So she knows a lot of these different type of logistical needs because we put them on every year. Another one that we've done is the Gen Cyber Conference, which is, you know, the techie cybersecurity conference we do regularly. If you're interested in any, the Dakota Bison Symposium or the Gen Cyber, out on my table outside, I've got cards, grab one. It'll tell you how to register for those. So she does these yearly, so she's learned, it's almost like second nature of what resources she needs. But if somebody were to need assistance with developing even a one-day conference, we have the ability to, she would meet, if there's a steering committee, she would meet with that committee, identify, are you doing food? Are you doing speakers? How long do you want to do this? Do you want breakout sessions? Do you want a keynote speaker? So she can plan all this out, and she's been doing it for well over 10 years. So she kind of knows the good questions to ask, and then she'll say, okay, we'll put a budget together. So there's, the cost for the food, the speakers, and then what we do is we usually, most times on an hourly basis, we calculate our time as the conference manager. And so if you're interested in having information on doing a conference, grab my business card off the table. I can get you in contact.
Fantastic. We have another question. David.
Yeah, hi. So I know you spend a lot of time thinking about workforce development. That's kind of your space. I'm wondering if you can comment on how that interconnects with community development, economic development, and maybe more specifically, just working with your students. Any insights on what it would take to keep those folks around here and happy and sort of long-term members of our community? So,
I'll do my best to take a stab at all of that. I wear multiple hats, so not only am I involved in the training realm, but I do sit on the Mandan City Commission, and I try to gauge not only the statistics for workforce. I look at the Bismarck Mandan statistical profile from Job Service fairly regularly, but I also look to see what's going on in our community. And I know that businesses need a few things for economic development. One, we need people. So we need to have people stay in our community. We need facilities. So for us, let's say in Mandan, to try to attract a large manufacturing firm or distribution warehouse or something that is not a restaurant or a bar type industry, we need developers. So we need somebody to develop those buildings, because a lot of companies, they don't want to come in and develop those buildings. So it's kind of a multi-piece. So we need people, we need the facilities, we need proper planning. So your city planning and zoning departments need to take into consideration where are these type of facilities going to go. I think one of the things that we're really striving at BSC to kind of hit on, how do we keep people here? Through the Polytechnic program, we're trying to find ways that we can support those businesses by bringing people into the region. BSC has started a reciprocation of tuition program, so we are working with 10 surrounding states as far as, I believe, Colorado and Wyoming, and we're also working with 2 provinces in Canada that are directly north of us. And so we're hoping with having that cheaper tuition for out-of-state residents, we can have people come into our technical workforce program through Polytech, and then we can keep them. Other things that you talk about, how can we also keep them in our community? So we need to provide the opportunity for entertainment is a big one. We need to have something for growing families. We need to have daycare taken care of. All of these smaller issues that may seem nonsensical or just really not that important really play into that bigger workforce picture. Education with youngsters is very important. How are our schools doing? How is the taxes being affordable? Daycare, I'll go back to that real quick. Daycare has been identified as an important element because the governor's office, with the $15 million workforce development grant, has allowed daycare initiatives to be included within that funding. And so community leaders need to be aware that, one, this funding is available. It's being done by regions, but hopefully that they can set out a plan. We want to try to not only support existing businesses with training opportunities, but we want to have the ability to grow families here and have daycare. Because if we have one person that really wants to work, but they have to stay home to take care of the kids, you're now taking somebody out of the economy. We're now one person short in our workforce. So if we have the ability to have both parents back into the workforce environment, we're going to have more people to tap into. And not just for maybe 40-hour-a-week positions, but maybe a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mom wants to work 10 hours a week while a child is in daycare. They can then do some of these secondary and tertiary industry sector jobs. They can work in a coffee shop, they can work at Lowe's, or they can work at Walmart. Get out of the house and do some of these positions that employers are having a hard time filling. So does that kind of tap into what you were hoping I was going to answer? So I could probably go on about another 40 minutes, but I don't think anybody wants to sit here.
No, it's kind of the million-dollar question, isn't it?
There's no easy formula to fixing that problem, but I do know at BSC we're really trying to get people into the region and stay here.
See, and the data geek side of me just wants to do the research study that just blows that one out of the park, but that's another day.
Another day. Maybe we can task you with doing that sometime in the future.
We'll work together on that one. Okay. Well, I think we have come actually to the last question of the day. So I think I just advanced it. Yes.
There we go.
Okay,
I
Evan,
would
you
you
do
without
the honors?
the slide. I didn't need the slide. Joe, thanks for being here and sharing information on what I think is a really tremendous resource for the region. It's good to learn a little bit more, see under the hood a little bit. So thank you for being here. The last question, which you tried to answer earlier, thank you for pulling back.
I pulled back. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
What can we, the Bismarck-Mandan 1 Million Cups community, do to help TrainND in its mission and help you succeed?
So we've been around for over 20 years, only had a handful of hands go up. So brand awareness is a big one. Those who are know mom and pop businesses, Main Street businesses, even all the way on up to large multi-million-dollar banks, spread the word. That's a big important one. We're here to help you, and the more that I can only get to so many businesses in the course of a day to try to enlighten people about the brand, so that's important. There are packets and other cards and other information out on the table. Please take one. Even if you're not interested in doing training right now, grab that packet, and maybe you know another business owner or supervisor that could use it for their team. Grab it, spread those packets. I swear they don't cost anything. I won't have a donation box or anything like that. So word of mouth and get that the word out. So appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, can we give it up for Joe? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's see. I'm going to try to go forward. Aha. Next week, so please come back. Next week, we're going to talk about bike share. And I'm very excited to learn more about this one. If any of you have ever been in a community that has a bike sharing program, they're pretty spiffy. You can run amok really quickly. It's pretty awesome. And then we have Assure Home Mortgage, some really innovative ideas there around home financing. So please come for that one as well. And then June 1st, we are taking a break. Not sure yet. Sometimes when we take a break, we feed you. We're not quite sure yet what's going on, but we're gonna recharge our batteries a little bit. But we may recharge over shared food. But we haven't decided yet. The organizing committee is probably going to kill me after this one. So anyway, and if being on stage looks like fun, and it was fun, right, Joe?
Oh, absolutely.
See, it was awesome.
Time flew by.
So please apply to present. We'd love to get you on our schedule. Our schedule is really filling up, so please apply to present, and we will get you slotted for 2022. Otherwise, grab coffee on your way out if there's any left over, and we'll see you next week and mug you. All right.